What's going on YouTube? But welcome back to another Fantasy Puck video. It's Chris here. Please do not skip the intro. I know a lot of you guys just skip through it right now. I'm going to try and get through all the good stuff quick, but I need to touch on a couple things before we get started. So guys, if you're interested in signing up for Prize Picks, be sure that you use code PUCK. It really helps us out in terms of future sponsorships and things that we're able to bring to you guys in terms of things like they'll match your deposit up to $100 for Prize Picks. There are a couple people that use it in Discord as well too. So if you guys are interested, be sure to check that out. Use code PUCK when signing up and it really helps us out, like I said. As well, guys, what I want to know in the comments down below, where did you finish this season in fantasy hockey playoffs? Where in your standings did you finish? What playoff matchup are you looking up against? Are you confident? Are you not confident? I just want to know how everybody did. Give yourself a little bit of a review on how the season went, and then look forward to playoffs. Week 23 is huge, guys. I know a lot of people start this week for their fantasy hockey playoffs. A couple of people have actually started the week prior. I'm in a league where we're already on approaching the end of first playoff week, and I'm in an absolute battle right now with one of my good friends. Guys, like, be sure that you're following us on Twitter. The very least that you can do is follow us on Twitter and join the Discord. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, whether it's streams, whether it's pickups, ads, drops, players to start over one another, goalies to start over one another, be sure that you're asking us in Discord. Mike, myself, and Don are all going to be available to you guys in the next coming weeks. We know this is a huge couple weeks for you guys in terms of fantasy hockey. And then if you guys are interested in our premium in-season tools, we have projections there for the rest of the fantasy hockey playoffs as well too, so be sure to check that out also. Okay, so let's get into the video really quickly. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I know a lot of you guys skip the intros now. We've been pumping the playoff schedule into you guys just with our content for the past couple weeks here, and we know that the Avs are a huge target. Now, the issue with that is, if people know this and they've already snatched up a lot of the Avs players going into this week, I want to give you guys a little bit of differentiation in terms of players that you guys should be streaming. A lot of teams play 4 games this week, as you can see right there. And there's a couple teams that have 2 off nights. There's a couple teams that play 3 games that have 2 off nights that I'm going to highlight. But the big thing is the way that you're going to be able to differentiate your matchup this week is by adding more volume with teams that play on off nights. And the simple reason for that is the fact that all teams play 3 games this week. This is a good thing. Okay, this means that no matter who's on your team, they're going to get 3 starts for sure, which is like, it looks like it's going to be the Tuesday, the Thursday, and the Saturday, which is what it normally is throughout the week. And then the off days are obviously Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So you at least get 3 games with your superstar players, which is always a good thing, guys. Like, we never want to complain about that. We've built our teams in coordination with the fact that we have better teams than everybody else, and the streamers are just there to complement your team. I see a lot of people, especially in Discord, especially in the YouTube comments, being like, should I drop, let me just think of a random name. Should I drop Martin Necas for Evan Rodriguez because Erod has the best schedule for this week? The answer, like 90% of the time, is no. Use these complementary type streamers to, like I said, be complements to your team. So if you have an injury, for example, like if you had a Kaprizov or a Svechnikov, or like me, had both on the same team, you need to find ways to make up for that by streaming players on off nights so that you can beat other teams with volume as opposed to quality, which is also really important, right? Which is why we've been trying to get you guys to like target some of the AV players and your trade targets and stuff like that too, because of the schedule. Like everything comes down to a week by week basis now. So that being said, let's get into our forward streams. Now, I really like Pittsburgh because you can do a lot with Pittsburgh this week. Part of the reason why is because, like I said, a lot of people are going to be already on the Avs. And the problem with the Avs are the fact that they're a very high-end team in terms of fantasy hockey. You have your McKinnon, you have your Makar. Gabe doesn't look like he's coming back before playoffs. You have Rantanen. And then there's not much outside of that. Lehkonen just went down. Nichushkin would be the only other one that I can think of off the top of my head. Like Devin Taves, I guess, and then obviously Georgiev. Those are your high-end players. The rest of their lineup is very thin in terms of quality. So that's why like guys like JT Compher and Evan Rodriguez are great streams. Number one, because like they get top 6 exposure. Erod is like triple eligible. Compher's center right wing. They're playing the top 6. They're playing second power play, which is good and all. But the reason why I got Raquel here, and I think that he is a really, really good option if he's available. I know he's 69% owned, and it's probably out of reach for most of you. But the Pens are really good because they have a really good early start if you can't get your hands on any of the Colorado players. So, like, if you look at their schedule for the week, you'll see that they play Monday against Ottawa. They skip the busy day, which is Tuesday, and then they go Colorado Wednesday and Dallas Thursday, which are tough matchups, yes, but you get exposure early on in the week. Then what you can do is you can pivot to other streams. Like if you have multiple ads, obviously, you can pivot to other streams later in the week depending on what you feel like you need in order to win your matchup. So if I stream Raquel, for example, for the first like 3 days or his first 3 games, and I end up on Thursday, I'm like, I really need blocks. I might be able to drop Raquel and pick up somebody that gets me a lot of blocks, for example. Like say Alec Martinez is available, which he shouldn't be in the block league, but I'm just using as an example, guys. So you can kind of play around with it that way. And like I said, like Raquel has a lot more value than Comfer or Erod would be able to. And like I said, like you probably don't get exposure to any of the big end Colorado guys. Like even Nichushkin at this point, because of Lehkonen going down and Lehkonen being out for like 4 to 6 weeks, like Nichushkin's probably a lot more owned in terms of his ownership now. So I really like Raquel for a lot of reasons. Number one, power play 1. He gets exposure to that big power play line. The Pens are in do or die mode right now. They kind of have to continue to push. So they're going to give it their all every single game from now until the end of the regular season. He's power play 1. He plays line 1 with Crosby and Gensel. On top of that, he has a great shot volume. I know Raquel has been like kind of, he's moved up and down the lineup a little bit, but last game he played line 1. So I'm confident they're going to keep him there just because like, I don't see a reason, even if he gets moved down to the third line, he still has a high shot volume and he still hits quite a bit as well too. And he gets power play 1 exposure. That hasn't changed. So to like, Raquel's a really good example. If you guys can get your hand on him, if you can't, Jason Zucker's also been really good as well too. He's going to get you a ton of hits along with some shot volume and some point exposure too. So I like those 2 Pens to start off. I just think they're higher value than a lot of the Avs players, for example, like Comfer and Rodriguez. Again, like you're not going to be able to find a high-end player for you to stream for this week. But if a lot of these guys are majority taken, especially like Raquel, for example, who I know is a high ownership, but I felt like I needed to include him. If he was available to you guys, you should absolutely pick him up for this upcoming week. And then like just like Krause should be readily available. If you need shots, if you need hits, Krause is a really good option for you guys. He's been solid all year, regardless of the matchup. He always shoots, he always hits. Moving on to some of the deeper forward streams. Again, it's the same concept with Granlund. Like he hasn't been great with the Pens by any means, but it's the fact that you get him earlier part of the week, you get him on the Monday, you can play him against Colorado on the off night on the Wednesday, and then even keep him on the Thursday against Dallas as well too. 10% owned, good schedule for the week. He's just going to chip in with peripheral stats like shots and hits. And if you count faceoffs, he's a bonus as well too for you guys. So that one's just a circumstance of schedule. Same thing with Nick Bukestad. This guy hits everything that moves. He's solid if you need a player that has hits. He's dual eligible as well too. 4% owned. If you guys think that you're going to be lower on your hits category this year, even like plus minus with Bukestad as well too on the Oilers is solid. Again, hasn't been great with the Oilers so far, but he has had a couple goals for them. And like I said, like he just hits. And then you get your lower end Colorado guys. I really like Dennis Mulligan at 1% just because he's sneaky in that top 6 there. He gets power play 2 time as well. He doesn't get power play 2 time anymore. They had him there and then they moved him off after going with 3D because of how good Bowen Byram's been as of late too, who's also going to be later on in the video. But again, Avs players, like you can't go wrong if you want to be able to complement your regular starters with a couple extra peripheral stats. So that's solid right there. Newhook's been playing second line left wing. So I think 3% only, that's a good stream for the week as well too, just given the schedule. The defense, again, very slim. Bowen Byram, 63%. He shot up in terms of his ownership just because of how good he's been. Pretty much the same amount of production in the last couple of weeks as Girard. The only main difference is the fact that Byram hits more than Girard does. So if you get your hands on Girard, like I would be happy with that too. Like power play 2 exposure. He plays with Devin Taves and they run 3D on that second power play, which is kind of wild. But Girard's an excellent puck mover, and so is Byram and Devin Taves as well too. So That's a solid option for you guys too if you can't get your hands on Bowen Byram. And then Marcus Pettersson, excuse me, has a bunch of asterisks beside him. He's currently day-to-day being re-evaluated for an injury. Pittsburgh's defense is already scarce enough as is. And if he goes down, I never want to suggest, let me be clear so you guys don't roast me in the comments. I'm never going to suggest a player that is injured to you guys. So if Marcus Pettersson is, for whatever reason, out longer than this week, do not pick him up. Go to Brian Dumoulin. They do the exact same thing. They shoot and they hit and block like absolute fiends. So if you guys need peripheral stats, like I said, Pittsburgh's defense is thin enough already. They're playing over 20 minutes a night. Like Dumoulin will probably hit over 20 minutes consistently for the whole week if Marcus Pettersson goes down and they have to dip into somebody in the AHL because their entire team is a Band-Aid right now. So I really like either of those two for peripheral stats as well, guys. If you can't get your hands on Girard, Brian Dumoulin's 1% owned, and like I said, he pretty much does the same thing as Marcus Pettersson, except Pettersson's just has a little bit more volume to him in terms of hits and blocks. So those are my two peripheral defensemen for that week as well too. You could also look to an Oiler defenseman because they do, even though they only play 3 games, they do get 2 off nights and they're early in the week. Like they get Monday and they get Wednesday. Monday against Monday against San Jose and Wednesday against Arizona. So you could stream somebody like Cody Ceci, for example, who's less than like 3% owned, who does the same thing, shoots, hits, blocks. If you're looking for a peripherals defenseman and you aren't confident in Marcus Pettersson and his injury, again, he's listed as day-to-day. So he's not officially out. He's just being reevaluated. He left the game, didn't come back. So just keep an eye on that. Again, but I would take Pettersson obviously over Brian Dumoulin if Pettersson is healthy. I just want to preface that for you guys. I never want to give you guys somebody that's like injured saying, pick this guy up. And then it turns out that he's not healthy by any means. So we're just waiting to hear back on that. So keep an eye on that. But I think Marcus Pettersson is a great option for you guys this week if he's healthy. And then, like I said, like Cody Ceci is a really good option as well too. Florida also plays 3 games in the first 4 days of the week. So, but the problem with Florida is a lot of, it's the same thing as like Colorado, for example. It's a lot of high-end players that are high ownership, like Forsling's high owned, Montour's high owned, obviously, because of how great of a season he's having. Ekblad is another good example. Racco Gudis is pretty much like owned as well, just given the fact that like he's an absolute, like he had 7 hits for me last game. I have him in one of my leagues. He's a stud in any hit category or in any hits leagues, any bangers leagues, anything like that. So just look for those early on. And then moving on to a goaltending, Jonas Johansson, I think is how I probably butchered the pronunciation. 1% owned. Francouz doesn't look like he's back at any time soon. Keep an eye on that. Like I said, we'll update you guys on Twitter as well if we get any injury reports surrounding him. But as of right now, he's got like potentially three really great matchups all on off nights. Chicago, and then potentially 2 against Arizona. I don't know what Colorado is going to do in terms of their load management, guys. It's really critical at this stage to, if you're trying to stream a goalie, make sure that goalie is actually playing. And what I mean by this is that like there's some teams that like Winnipeg, Nashville that are all in just like do or die mode right now, where they're trying to make it in or they're trying to make sure that they stay in the playoffs. And they're just going to have Saros and Hellebuck start in back-to-back games. So you won't get, like, don't pick up a guy like Rittich if, say, like, Winnipeg has a back-to-back. Because it's very likely that they're just going to have to play Helly in back-to-back games in order to try and guarantee a win instead of starting their backup, which happens a lot this time of year. So be mindful of that going forward. And that's actually a benefit to some of you that have these goalies as well, too. So keep an eye on that. Akir Schmid's been great, except for his last game. He let in a couple goals. They kind of fell apart in the third period there against Tampa. But again, he gets a good matchup against Ottawa. So if you need like a guaranteed good matchup, it's a solid matchup against the Sens. He's 18% owned now, again, because of the injuries to like Blackwood. And like Vitek's been solid, but like Schmid's been solid as well too, guys. He's actually been playing a lot more than I thought. So I think if you grab Schmid, if you need a goalie, that's a good option. And then one of Hofer or Grice. Hofer is that rookie that just came in. He's also playing again today, Sunday, which is, I can't remember who they're playing. I think it's Winnipeg. I think they're playing Winnipeg today. Let me just double check that for you right now. Yes, Yes, the Blues play Winnipeg today, so Hofer gets a start. And he could potentially like bump Greiss out of that backup role, or they might just run 3 goalies because Binnington should be back next week. Like, this will be his second game, so he'll have served his suspension as well too. So I think, you know, one of these two guys against Anaheim, again, be 100% sure when you go to start a goalie that he is going to play. If you need it later in the week, that's on the 25th. That's a Sunday. So they get a back-to-back against Anaheim, which again is a really good matchup for you guys. And yeah, like that pretty much covers it for goalies. That's going to do for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you have any questions, if you have anything that you need answered from one of us, be sure to go on our Discord, type in the appropriate channel. If you really need an answer quickly, like ping one of us. I know it's a pretty stressful time for you guys, like a lot of decision-making going forward, especially with playoffs. I wish you guys all the best. Good luck in your matchups. Thank you for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of the day, and good luck in your playoff matchups going forward, guys. I'll see you in the next video.